Our MC Makoto Yamori, the strongest cultivator on the Liyue continent, saved the continent from crisis by repelling the Demon King's army during the Dark Ages, but after the victory, his very own comrades suddenly betrayed him. Right before his death, Makoto vowed to drag every last traitor that betrayed him to the depths of hell. But just when he thought everything was lost, Makoto was reincarnated in another world as a college student born to the prestigious Yamori family. However, the Makoto of this world is weak, useless, and has already been cast out by his family like trash. Makoto opens his eyes to find a group of people staring at him with curiosity. As he tries to grasp his surroundings, someone insults him, calling him useless trash for fainting during a test. Another student chimes in, reminding the first that Makoto has already been disowned by his family, making him unworthy of the title young master. Nearby, a blonde girl urges the school genius Kitama to return to his test, expressing her excitement for him to break another record. Kitama confidently agrees, and together they walk back, side by side. The teacher then instructs the other students to head back to continue the physical fitness test. As everyone walks away, ignoring Makoto, a sudden rush of memories overwhelms him. He realizes he has been reincarnated as another boy, sharing the same name. In this new realm, the Makoto here has a frail body due to blocked meridians, which led to his clan abandoning him after his parents' death. As he sifts through these memories, he discovers that no one in this world understands cultivation. Taking in his surroundings, Makoto can sense the presence of chi in the air. In his past life, the people of Liyue discovered how to absorb this chi in the air. Makoto closes his eyes to concentrate on the chi, but he can only detect a small amount. Undeterred, he attempts to draw this energy into his body. Thanks to his previous knowledge of cultivation, he quickly learns how to absorb the chi. Like any dedicated cultivator, he plans to store this energy and use it to strengthen his body through consistent practice. Before long, the small amount of power he generates at this initial stage of cultivation clears his blocked meridians. Examining his physique, Makoto notices he has grown a few inches taller. With renewed determination, he vows to regain his strength and return to the Liyue continent to seek revenge on those who betrayed him. But for now, Makoto's plans for revenge have to wait, because he is only in the first stage of cultivation. And it will take a while before he returns to being the strongest guy on the continent. To check out the changes in his body and determine his current strength, Makoto decides to participate in the school's physical test. He quickly heads back to the field to inform the teachers of his decision. The students immediately start mocking him for trying to interrupt Kitama's turn. Apparently, Kitama is the school's favorite, and he has also received a recommendation to a prestigious physical education university. Kitama joins the student to mock Makoto, calling him a prideless garbage. Makoto ignores all their mockery, believing his current strength is far beyond that of an ordinary human. One dude reminds him that everyone has dropped out of the race because no one wants to go up against Kitama. A short while later, Makoto and Kitama step onto the track, getting ready to compete against one another. As soon as the starting gun fires, Kitama takes off without hesitation. In contrast, Makoto leisurely counts down, intentionally giving the so-called Wonder Boy a head start. The other students erupt in laughter, once again ridiculing Makoto for being worthless trash. After 3 seconds, Makoto finally sprints forward, shocking the onlookers. In just a few seconds, he zooms past Kitama with incredible speed like the Flash. Basically, when cultivators first appeared on the Liyue continent, their abilities, both physical and mental, far surpassed those of ordinary humans. As Makoto approaches the finish line, to everyone's amazement, he doesn't immediately cross it. Instead, he begins counting down once more, allowing his rival to catch up. He grants Kitama an extra 3 seconds before finally crossing the line. The teacher checks the timer, revealing that Makoto has achieved a new record of approximately 9 seconds. Kitama finishes the race as well, but he is in disbelief that he lost to the notorious school trash. Although he hasn't reached his full potential yet, Makoto feels satisfied with his current strength. With this fresh start, he pledges to ascend to greatness and prove wrong all those who once underestimated him. Back in the Liyue continent, Makoto was considered the strongest, and in roughly 50 years of training, he had exceeded numerous experts. He attained the 7th stage of cultivation at 65 years old, becoming the most powerful cultivator on the continent. Now stuck with this new useless skin, Makoto plans to use special medicines to help him hasten his cultivation. He checks their prices only to learn that they cost a fortune, and the original owner of his new body is a broke loser. Makoto wants to craft and sell talismans, but he doesn't even have enough money for low-grade materials. Not wanting to give up on his revenge plans, he decisively swears to find a way to earn money. Just as Makoto is still trying to figure out how to make money, Kitama, the field club captain, and his goons corner him in the bathroom. In the bullying squad, there is also Haru, the boxing club captain. Kitama informs Makoto that due to his racing stunt in the field earlier, he has to give them the required protection fee early. From his memory, Makoto recalls that they always extorted money from the original owner. Only last week, Kitama, Haru, Hota, and Akira had cornered him to collect money under the guise of a protection fee. Noticing Makoto's unsettling expression, Kitama feels uneasy and asks Haru to take charge. Haru, confident in his abilities, believes he can easily take down someone as worthless as Makoto with a single blow. He throws the first punch, but to their surprise, Makoto dodges effortlessly. The previous Makoto would have simply endured the attack, but this is a breeze for the new and improved Makoto. After evading Haru's strike, he delivers a powerful punch that leaves Haru with a facelift. Next, Makoto turns his attention to Akira, kicking him aside like discarded trash. Hota and Kitama stand in shock, unable to believe this is the same spineless Makoto they once mocked. Makoto glances at them and casually asks if they are now terrified. Instead of retreating, Hota and Kitama rush to attack him. However, he easily grabs their wrists, stopping their attack midway. With such ease, he crushes their wrists, leaving them screaming in pain. Makoto ignores their cries as he visibly relishes their misery. Unable to bear the pain anymore, Hota and Kitama frantically plead with him to stop. Makoto then releases them, effortlessly tossing them into a corner like discarded trash. By now, Kitama is terrified and trembling to the point that he pleads with Makoto to have mercy on them. Makoto agrees, but as he tries to leave, Haru suddenly charges towards him. This time, Makoto completely obliterates any remaining bones in his face with a single punch. He warns Haru that he won't be so lucky the next time he tries. Seeing the whole scene unfold, Kitama and the others almost crap their pants at the overwhelming sight of Makoto. Makoto orders them to return everything they took from him, leaving them confused. When he repeats himself again fiercely, Kitama screams in fear, promising to return them. He then pulls out a wad of cash and bows respectfully to present it to Makoto. After taking the cash, Makoto heads out of the bathroom, hoping they won't report him to anyone. However, since they look so terrified, he believes they won't have the courage to tell anyone. On his way out, Makoto decides to leave school soon, since it is inconvenient for him to continue while working to achieve his goals. He counts the cash and is satisfied that it is enough for him to purchase low-grade materials for crafting talismans, which he can sell to save up towards his goal of revenge. Afterwards, Makoto purchases the materials for his talisman and prepares to craft them. A talisman is an item used by low-level cultivators. He creates them by pouring spiritual energy into the materials to obtain their mystical effects. Even though he is just a chi-refining cultivator at the first stage, Makoto easily refines them, crafting a bunch of low-grade talismans. He plans to sell them and then find a suitable place for medicinal cultivation. Unfortunately, after 3 weeks, Makoto still can't sell even one talisman. He found a corner on a street to display the goods, but people stared at him with contempt. During his morning run, Makoto finds a severely injured dog on the street. He uses one of his healing talismans on the dog to test its effect. Just as he expected, the dog immediately recovered from all its injuries. The dog wags its tail, barking happily at Makoto, but it suddenly turns hostile when two people approach, arguing. One of them is Sho, the only son of the Wada family, and the other is a girl named Shizuru, the daughter of the Suga family. They seem to be searching and arguing about a dog. They had seen the dog involved in an accident earlier, but Sho didn't care if it died. Shizuru, on the other hand, wanted them to find and take it to a hospital. Soon, she stops arguing when she sees the dog in Makoto's arms, looking very healthy. Shizuru quickly rushes over, wondering how the dog looks fine when it was covered in blood only moments ago. Looking at her bag, Makoto realizes that they might be heading to the hospital to visit someone. He takes advantage of the situation to show her the talisman he used on the dog. Makoto tries to advertise his goods, but Sho angrily barks at him, calling him a scammer. Shizuru dismisses Sho's rambling and turns to Makoto, asking if the talisman can help someone in a vegetative state. In response, Makoto presents a spirit-cleansing talisman designed for repair and regeneration. He assures her that it works effectively for patients in such conditions. Sho finds this hard to believe and tries to convince Shizuru not to buy it, but she ignores him again. Makoto then demonstrates how to use the talisman, explaining that she simply needs to hold it up to the patient for it to take effect. He mentions that the larger talismans cost 400,000 yen, while the smaller ones are priced at 200,000. To everyone's surprise, Shizuru offers to pay 1,000,000 yen for all the talismans. Infuriated, Sho lunges at Makoto, demanding he leave. However, before he can strike, Makoto grabs Sho's wrist and twists it painfully, warning him to back off and stop interfering. Despite Sho's struggles, he cannot escape Makoto's grip. After a moment, Makoto effortlessly throws him aside and returns to his transaction with Shizuru. Once the deal is finalized, he explains the purpose of each talisman, saying that the yellow one offers protection, while the red one is a fireball talisman. Before departing, Makoto expresses his hope that she never has to use the red and yellow talismans. Shizuru happily thanks him, asking him for his name. As he walks away, Makoto tells her his name before leaving with the dog trailing beside him. Sho, having recovered from the beating, resumes his complaints about Shizuru falling victim to an absurd scam. While she trusts his words, Shizuru continues to hold on to the slim hope that it can help her mother regain consciousness. In the meantime, Makoto returns, feeling pleased that he successfully sold all his talismans. With the money earned, he can now find a suitable place to live, but first, he intends to look for medicinal herbs for cultivation purposes. Suddenly, he is distracted when the dog begins barking at a nearby house. Makoto glances up to find the residence entirely shrouded in spiritual energy. Upon closer inspection of the garden, he spots silver heartgrass growing there. In the meantime, Sho is in the hospital receiving treatment for the wounds on his wrist. As the nurse treats his wounds, Sho continues to rant angrily, vowing to destroy Makoto next time. In the same hospital in her mother's room, Shizuru receives a scolding from her father, Kenji, the councilman of Konkai City, for embarrassing the family by falling for a scam. His loud outburst soon attracts mocking whispers from the nurses. They mock Shizuru for wasting money to buy fake talismans. Shizuru ignores them, telling her father that she is willing to try anything to heal her mother. This only makes Kenji furiously bark at her, calling her a fool for believing such an absurd thing. Kenji's outburst enrages Shizuru, and she shouts at her father for not even visiting her mom. She blames him for delaying getting her to the hospital, which caused her to fall into a coma. Kenji, unable to respond, is completely taken aback by her words. Shizuru continues, claiming her father would just move to the next woman when her mother dies. Now Kenji is furious and almost slaps her, but he stops midway. He turns to leave, expressing his disappointment at how insolent she has become. Before leaving, he informs her that a nurse will be coming to pull her mom off life support. Shizuru protests the decision, and grabbing her mom's hand, she presses the talisman into it. Suddenly, a bright light bursts from the talisman, and to her shock, her mother rubs her hair, calling out Shizuru's name. The whole thing also catches Kenji's attention, just as he is about to step out. Shizuru's mom, Yoko, looks at her daughter, remarking how she has grown thinner. Kenji then dashes out of the room to call a doctor. On getting outside, he shouts at the top of his lungs happily, informing everyone that his wife has awakened. The shocked doctor and nurse rush inside to run a few tests on Yoko. After the tests, the doctor informs them that Yoko should return to her daily life in less than 2 years. Shizuru shows them the talisman, explaining that it healed her mom, but the doctor refuses to believe her. Sho has also arrived to witness the commotion and finds the whole thing unbelievable. The doctor orders the nurse to contact the award-winning Professor Suzuki for further tests. Still in disbelief, Sho is now beginning to see the possibility that he may have been totally wrong about Makoto. Ignoring all the doubting Thomases in the room, Shizuru and her mom happily embrace each other. Looking at the remaining talismans, Shizuru promises to repay Makoto if she ever meets him again. In the meantime, Makoto has successfully moved into the house shrouded in spiritual energy. He looks around, satisfied with his progress towards returning to the Liyue continent to destroy all those who betrayed him. With renewed determination, Makoto vows never to forgive the traitors. Makoto believes that the day of his revenge can only come sooner, when he reaches the Chi refining stage 11. To reach this stage, he needs to acquire a spirit spring and spirit materials to help him attain the title of the strongest cultivator. Later that night, Makoto ponders how to increase his cultivation. From the look of things, he can feel the spiritual energy of this world withering gradually. If the energy vanishes completely, he will no longer be able to cultivate. Makoto wonders how he can find a place or item rich in spiritual energy to help him break out of the current situation. He had been worried about finding a spiritual spring or spiritual materials, but somehow he was lucky to find the silver heart grass growing in the garden. This grass is basically considered a spiritual material, and unlike ordinary medicinal herbs, it can be used to refine elixirs capable of increasing one's cultivation. Makoto believes that refining the berries from this grass into a pill might help him reach the second stage of cultivation. However, he fears that even the slightest mistake in refining the pill can also destroy his progress. Not wanting to wait for any unexpected situations, Makoto decides to start training immediately to stay prepared. The following day, he heads out to try and sell a few more talismans because refining cultivation pills is way too expensive. Makoto is minding his business, trying to keep his head down, when he suddenly notices a group of thugs keeping tabs on him from a distance. He had already noticed them watching him since the third day after he started selling talismans on the street. Makoto notes that there are a few more of them than usual today, meaning they might make their move on him soon. Deciding to face them head-on, he proceeds to pack up, but is suddenly interrupted by a girl who calls his name. The girl says she has been worried about him since he suddenly stopped attending school. While Makoto tries to recall who she is, The girl rambles on about all his problems, including subtly calling him a broke loser. After searching his memories, Makoto recalls that the girl is Mochiyama, who once stood up for the previous owner. She offers to lend him money so that he can return to school, but Makoto completely ignores her and leaves. She tries to call him back, but he refuses to answer, making her suspect that something must have happened to him. In the meantime, Makoto keeps walking while quietly counting the number of thugs targeting him. After counting about 10 of them, he slips into an alley confident he can take them all at once. Seeing him take a detour, the thugs quickly chase after him, holding daggers. A few moments later, they catch up to him in a lonely alley with a dead end ahead. Thinking they already have him pinned down, the thugs relax confidently, declaring that he has nowhere to escape to. To their amusement, he confidently orders them to attack him at once, but none of them takes him seriously. Makoto asks why they have been watching him for days. He tries to make them reveal who sent them. The bald dude simply informs him that he pissed off someone powerful. Another dude questions why the young lady of the Amatani family took an interest in Makoto. Makoto is a bit confused, but he soon recalls that Setsu, the young lady of the Amatani family, was engaged to the original owner. However, after he was exiled from his clan, she brutally dumped him and canceled their engagement. The whole situation puzzles Makoto as he wonders why they are trying to eliminate someone over a broken engagement. Seeing that they have no intentions of giving him a straight answer, he decides to make them talk in a more creative manner. Just behind the whole scene, Mochiyama observes them quietly, wondering how he got involved with the Yakuza. Fearing that Makoto is too weak to deal with the terrifying Yakuza, she decides to call the police for help. Unfortunately, someone discovers her before she can make the call, and he quickly grabs her while she struggles to get away. The commotion catches the others' attention, and they turn to find their boss yanking Mochiyama effortlessly like a little puppy. Makoto is also surprised because he hadn't sensed her following him. The boss teases him for being popular among girls, including fooling around while stringing Setsu along. Mochiyama, ignoring her own safety, barks at Makoto, telling him to run. She claims the thugs cannot harm her since she is a member of a powerful family. Hearing this only makes the boss laugh at her stupidity. He menacingly boasts that no one would find out if he eliminates her in this deserted alleyway. Deciding to take her out first, he pulls out a dagger, aiming for her neck, but Makoto steps in just in time to break his wrist with a single punch. Without giving him any time to register the whole thing, he grabs the boss's face and effortlessly slams him into the ground. Everyone watches the whole scene in shock. Even Mochiyama wonders if he is the same Makoto she remembers. Seeing them intimidated, Makoto firmly asks them again who sent them to attack him. In another part of town, Officer Kaya receives an urgent message over the intercom that the Scar Gang is on the move. He learns that more than 30 gang members are heading toward an alley on East Street. The caller, who is an officer at the scene, reveals that they are after a boy and have taken a young girl hostage. Without hesitation, Officer Kaya speeds off in his vehicle, instructing the caller to request reinforcements, but not to inform Police Chief Unaga just yet. He cautions the caller to wait for backup instead of rushing in. The officer at the scene updates Kaya, suggesting that reinforcements may not be necessary. He explains that the boy being targeted has already taken down all the gang members on his own. In the meantime, Makoto is still dealing with the boss, who finds it hard to believe he is the same trash weakling from the Yamori clan. Makoto interrogates him, asking if the Amatani or Yamori clan sent them. Seeing his hesitation, he squeezes the boss's skull, threatening him to answer in 3 seconds. Due to the pain, the boss frantically begs him to stop. Suddenly, Officer Kaya arrives at the scene, telling Makoto to stop. Makoto is surprised to see them, wondering how the cops found them so soon. He contemplates escaping, but decides not to show off the extent of his strength. He then releases the boss, who is relieved to be finally saved. Makoto knows that with his current strength, he might not be able to go against state power. Kaya is also relieved to have de-escalated the situation, but he still finds it hard to believe that one scrawny boy handled 30 gang members alone. He then introduces himself to Mochiyama and Makoto as the city's police sergeant, but Makoto ignores him while Mochiyama cheerfully greets him. Kaya assures them that his companion, Rokuhara, will handle everything smoothly. This only puts Makoto on edge, as he realizes they had seen everything from the beginning. As if sensing his unease, Kaya informs him that Rokuhara will take their statements without inquiring into any unrelated things. Out of nowhere, Police Commissioner Unuga arrives, labeling Makoto a criminal and placing him under arrest. He smirks maliciously, waving the arrest warrant in front of Makoto. Mochiyama, furious, insists that the armed men attacked them first, but Unuga insists he only witnessed Makoto assaulting the men. The Scar boss laughs triumphantly as another officer drags him away. Kaya, filled with rage, confronts Unuga, reminding him of the armed gang's true identity. Unuga ignores his rants, belittling him for trying to go up against a second-grade police chief while threatening to fire him. Kaya, unfazed, continues cursing at his boss, but Rokuhara holds him back, telling him to calm down. Kaya stops struggling when Makoto unexpectedly surrenders, accepting his arrest. He senses that a mastermind is orchestrating events from behind the scenes. Unuga laughs triumphantly at Makoto's surrender, but Makoto's true intention is to gather information about this hidden puppet master. He aims to resolve the situation before it disrupts his cultivation progress. Curious, Makoto asks Unuga how he discovered his identity as a university student. Unuga is caught off guard, realizing he let something slip while boasting. Makoto calls him a lackey and offers to help eliminate the true mastermind. Unuga pretends to be innocent, claiming he knows nothing about any mastermind. As he turns to leave, Makoto reveals a button, leaving Unuga in shock, wondering when Makoto had time to pull out the button. As another officer slaps the cuffs on his wrist, Makoto casually warns Unuga that next time, he will take more than a button. Unuga considers this disrespectful and vows to remember it. Back in the prison cell, an officer draws the attention of a prisoner inside, informing him that the target will arrive soon. He informs the fierce-looking prisoner that his job is to eliminate the target. Moments later, Makoto is escorted into the same cell. From the expression on the faces of the two guards, he senses that they plan to lynch him, but Makoto is not worried. He soon notices the prisoner hired for the job, quietly watching him from a corner. For a moment, Makoto wonders if this stranger is also the mastermind behind the setup. Before he can think further, the prisoner slowly stands up and begins rambling about justice and fate, ranting about some self-righteous nonsense. He introduces himself as Funaki and openly admits he was paid to eliminate Makoto. Clearly enjoying himself, Funaki tells Makoto not to resist and to accept his end quietly. Makoto steps forward, unfazed, and calmly asks who hired him. Since entering the cell, he had sensed something unusual, and it was the prisoner radiating an aura called Reiatsu. Without hesitating, Funaki attacks Makoto, preparing to send him to the afterlife. To his utter shock, Makoto vanishes into thin air just as the strike closes in on him. In the next instant, Makoto reappears beside him and slams him into the ground with a single palm strike. He confidently states that the weaker one here is Funaki. Refusing to back down, Funaki grabs his heels, hurling him into the air, but that does nothing to harm Makoto. Seeing him land effortlessly, Funaki finally realizes he may have underestimated his opponent, but that doesn't stop him from boasting. Ignoring his loud mouth, Makoto swoops in swiftly, striking him down with a single punch. Funaki is shocked by the overwhelming power of the punch. Without letting him regain his composure, Makoto drops in from above to deliver the final blow. Funaki tries to block the attack, but Makoto's kick is just too powerful. Still not learning his lesson, Funaki angrily charges towards him again. Unfortunately for him, Makoto effortlessly dodges the attack and proceeds to sink a powerful punch into Funaki's abdomen, completely destroying him. This time, Funaki seems to have realized the huge gap between their strength as he cowers in the corner, wondering what just happened. Not planning to let him go, Makoto looms over him with a heavy and terrifying aura. He immediately smashes Funaki's head into the ground, demanding for the name of the puppet master. Makoto also demands to know where he obtained the Reiatsu from. Meanwhile, Unaga is in his office, still shaken up by his exchange with Makoto. He thunders while on a call, demanding to know what kind of monster they sent his way. The caller named Hashimoto assures him that Makoto is simply a weak trash abandoned by the Yamori clan. Unaga is a bit relieved to hear this and hopes they can eliminate him without any drama. Hashimoto confidently assures him that he has sent rioters who came out of Ryuta to handle him. He further promises to recommend Unaga to Lord Aima for promotion as the district police chief. Unaga agrees and reminds Hashimoto not to forget this promise. In the prison cell, Funaki remains tight-lipped, refusing to reveal any secrets despite enduring severe beatings. Makoto admires his discipline. Funaki tells Makoto that he underestimated him, prompting Makoto to wonder if there are other cultivators in the world. Funaki recounts his encounter with an old monk in Ryuta a few years ago, who could effortlessly manipulate chi to split a tree in half. The monk gifted him a bottle of divine water, instructing him to dilute it before use. After following these instructions for several years, Funaki's body transformed into an extraordinary form. From this story, Makoto realizes that the divine water Funaki mentioned is likely Reiatsu or spirit liquid. He contemplates whether he can also find a spiritual spring in Ryuta. Basically, spiritual springs form in areas with a high concentration of spiritual energy. Over time, this energy gradually transforms into spirit liquid, eventually creating a spring. On the Liyue continent, even a small amount of this spirit liquid is considered rare and valuable due to its potency and usefulness for cultivators. Makoto asks Funaki why someone as powerful as him would involve himself in the struggles of ordinary people. Funaki reveals that he needs a substantial amount of money for his child, who is suffering from ALS. He further explains that he had tried to use the divine water on his son, but it did not work. To earn enough money to keep him alive, Funaki had to earn quick bucks by accepting this deal. After contemplating the illness for a moment, Makoto offers to help cure the boy. He explains to Funaki that the divine water is actually spirit liquid, also called reiatsu, which can be harmful to ordinary people. While regular spiritual energy may not pose a threat, the concentrated nature of spirit liquid can do more harm than good for the sick boy. He further adds that spirit energy can be used properly by a special technique. He shows Funaki the healing talisman he previously used on the dog, and to illustrate its power, Makoto uses it on him. To Funaki's astonishment, the talisman instantly heals all his injuries. Holding the talisman triumphantly, Makoto gives Funaki an ultimatum to either reveal the identity of his employer or face death. Without hesitation, Funaki discloses that he was hired by someone named Hashimoto. Elsewhere, Hashimoto, the owner of the Kozan Club, just finished a call with Unaga. With a cheerful demeanor, he turns to a battered girl bound before him and asks if she would like something to eat or drink. Unable to respond, she can only cry and struggle. Hashimoto steps closer, forcing her mouth open and extracting a tooth with a small shear. As the girl screams in agony, he laughs maniacally. Their torment session is interrupted when a butler enters to inform him that Lord Aima is seeking an update on the Makoto situation. Satisfied with his little plaything, Hashimoto casually tells the butler that someone is already addressing the issue. He plans to visit the police station to check on the progress, as he already considers Makoto dead meat. He then instructs the butler to reassure Lord Aima to remain calm and wait for his good news. Back at the prison, Makoto and Funaki seem to have come to a truce. In gratitude for the healing talisman, Funaki presents Makoto with a pendant containing concentrated spirit liquid. This excites Makoto, as even a small amount sprinkled on silver grass will yield fruit instantly. Once he processes these fruits into chi pills, he can quickly use them to advance to the second level of cultivation. He expresses his thanks to Funaki, who cautions him that Hashimoto will keep hunting him. Funaki warns that anyone who falls into Hashimoto's trap rarely escapes unscathed. Unfazed by this warning, Makoto confidently proclaims that he will handle Hashimoto. Meanwhile, Shizuru arrives at Neihai University to find Makoto. She had seen his photo and discovered that he was the infamous discarded trash of the Yamori clan, so she tracked him all the way to his school. Shizuru still can't believe that Makoto is a junior at her school. She quickly heads to the president's office to learn more about him. The president of Neihai University just happens to be Jin, Mochiyama's uncle. Inside his office, Mochiyama is involved in a heated argument with President Jin. She wants him to help save Makoto, but Jin has no plans of getting dragged into such a shitstorm. Mochiyama, however, refuses to back down, as she blames herself for Makoto's arrest and involvement with corrupt cops. She struggles to make her point while Kumono, an instructor at the university, tries to hold her back. She assures Mochiyama that Makoto will be released soon. Just then, they all turn around to see Shizuru arriving at the scene. She immediately asks them if they're talking about Makoto. Back at the police station, Kaya is raising hell in Onaga's office about his corrupt practice. They have been chasing Scar and his gang for years without any progress, but now Onaga is just letting them slip away freely. Onaga casually informs Kaya that accusing a superior without evidence is a felony. Kaya, refusing to back down, angrily states that the chief is planning to do something suspicious behind the scenes. Unfortunately, he has no evidence to back his bogus claims. Just as the two men prepare to engage in a stare-down, Mochiyama and Shizuru burst into the office with Rokuhara behind them, attempting to stop them. Mochiyama angrily points at the chief, telling Shizuru that he was the person who falsely accused Makoto. Onaga quietly studies Shizuru, wondering about her identity. From the information he received, Makoto has no significant backing from any powerful families. Reassuring himself that Makoto is just garbage, he confidently informs them that they can't release a criminal suspected of robbery and assault. Kaya angrily protests the charges, demanding to know when all that happened. Onaga informs him that it involves a secret investigation, so he cannot reveal anything to them. Mochiyama angrily declares that locking up Makoto while releasing Yakuza members is plain corruption. Onaga, unfazed by her threats, warns her to leave or face arrest for obstruction of justice. Just as he is about to make a call, Shizuru quietly sits down and, crossing her leg like a boss, she dares him to make a move. Onaga then orders his subordinates to throw them into a holding cell. He announces that they are being detained on suspicion of being accomplices of Makoto. He goes further to suspend Kaya for harboring criminals. Kaya, as usual, barks in protest, while Shizuru remains calm. Hearing Shizuru call the charges bogus claims, Onaga laughs with satisfaction, and then decides to make her sentence heavier for insulting a government official. Shizuru simply questions whether he is receiving any special favors from someone for arresting Makoto. Seeing his scheme about to be exposed, he stammers, trying to hide his discomfort with the questions. Shizuru then asks if Makoto's situation can be resolved with some money. Unaga has relaxed once again, telling her that Makoto ended up this way for pissing off powerful people. He further adds that Shizuru and Mochiyama will also end up with the same fate. Unaga shamelessly cooks up a pretty convincing scenario of how he can simply eliminate them, including Kaya. He boasts that he can blame Kaya's death on the girls and then blame their demise on taking down 2 criminals who assaulted and eliminated a police officer. After hearing such a convincing script, Kaya and Mochiyama are visibly shaken, but Shizuru remains unbothered. To their shock, Shizuru asks someone named Director Ogi, who was already on a call with her, if he heard everything the corrupt chief said. Director Ogi confirms that he heard everything, leaving Unaga extremely terrified. Shizuru sits back down confidently, asking him if he needs her to introduce herself again. From the other end of the line, Director Ogi reads out Unaga's charges and even mentions that he threatened the family member of a council member. For all his atrocities, Unaga is immediately suspended pending interrogation into his crime. Director Ogi also informs them that he will be arriving at the office to join them soon. After absorbing everything, Unaga sinks into his chair, still shaken, and wondering which council member's family he had offended. To answer his questions, Shizuru then reveals that she is the young lady of the Suga family of Neihai City. It is at this very moment that Unaga realizes he messed up big time. Meanwhile, back in the prison cell, Makoto is still reeling over his new gift from Funaki. The amount of spirit liquid stored inside it is quite small, so he reasons that it can only be used once. His senses perk up as he senses someone approaching, and Makoto turns around, surprised to see Shizuru and Mochiyama standing there. At this point, Hashimoto has learned that all his plans have been thwarted. In a fit of rage, he starts smashing objects in his home, frustrated that one henchman is near death while the other is headed to prison. After destroying a few vases, he contemplates his next move, realizing that failing the Ima family mission could put his own life at risk. Refusing to back down, he decides to send his bodyguard, whom he believes is the best person for the job. He orders the bodyguard to bring Makoto back alive, vowing to eliminate the trash with his own hands. Makoto is now back home, and as usual, he is broke after buying a few materials for pill refinement. He immediately refines the pill and pops it into his mouth without wasting time. After taking the pill, he can feel its amazing effect almost immediately as he floats in the air surrounded by a golden light. Although the pill is impure, Makoto is satisfied with the effect, which is something special for a place with little spiritual energy. Finally, he breaks through to Chi refining stage 2 just as he has been longing to. He practices his cloud shadow step, which he hasn't used since his reincarnation, and the speed amazes even the dog. Makoto is satisfied with the results, confidently stating that a bullet has nothing on his speed. Afterwards, he thinks about how to get his next supply of spirit liquid since he already used the one Funaki gifted him. He contemplates going to Ryuta to try his luck, but going there via the normal route is considered dangerous. Therefore, Makoto decides to rely on the local contact he received from Funaki. However, his major problem is money, because it will cost him roughly 2 million yen for entry procedures alone. Just then, a television ad for a beauty product grabs Makoto's attention. In a world where women are obsessed with looking youthful, he sees an opportunity to capitalize on this trend. He picks up a package from the table, eager to use its contents at an upcoming party. Just 5 hours earlier, after being released from prison, he had shared lunch with Shizuru. Sitting across from her, he still found it hard to believe she was the daughter of a councilman. After a brief silence, she asked him to do her a favor by attending a party at the Sugao building to celebrate her mother's recovery. This building houses the city's largest cosmetics market, and Shizuru owns it. This is the party Makoto is excited to attend. The next evening, he arrives at the lavish party on the top floor of the Sugao building, holding the box. Inside is the Juyan pill, an elixir he has refined. While he can't create spirit pills at his level, making elixirs like this one is well within his abilities. The Juyan pill is a popular, affordable remedy among female cultivators on the Luyue continent. Makoto plans to sell a few to wealthy women at the party to earn 2 million yen. Scanning the crowd, he spots Shizuru and her family, and he prepares to attract his target customers. Shizuru is dealing with her aunt and uncle, Eno and Shiro Hoshisu, who are pressuring her to get married soon. Still only in her 30s, they label her an old maid and warn that she might end up like the family's old spinster, Masami. Shiro even insults Masami, calling her a waste of space. Masami attempts to defend herself but struggles to find the right words, which only makes Shiro more relentless. Yoko, now frustrated, tells Shiro to stop, while Shizuru reminds him that Masami raised him and many others after their grandmother passed away. Undeterred, Shiro urges Yoko to convince Shizuru to settle down quickly. Yoko, still recovering from a long coma, coughs, prompting Shizuru to check on her. Despite the tense atmosphere, Shiro remains aggressive, even suggesting a family for Shizuru to get married into. He warns that if she doesn't settle down, she might become defective goods. Masami tries to voice her opinion, but Shiro cuts her off, adding that no cosmetic product can restore her youth. At that moment, Makoto seizes the chance to speak up. He criticizes Shiro for insulting Shizuru, a prominent figure in the cosmetic industry. Furious, Shiro calls for security to remove Makoto from the venue, but Shizuru informs everyone that he is the one who saved Yoko. Yoko takes Makoto's hand to thank him for selling the talisman to Shizuru. Shiro is disgusted by the mere sight of Makoto and accuses him of being a scammer. He claims that Yoko woke up from the coma purely due to medical science. Ignoring all the snide comments, Makoto introduces himself as a researcher and business partner of Shizuru. Even Shizuru is surprised by the title of her business partner. The onlookers erupt with disdain, telling him he has nothing to add about their discussion concerning the restoration of one's youth. Makoto confidently displays his box, promising to show them something good. He hands Masami the box, inviting her to swallow the Juyan pill. Shiro is the first to doubt him, suspecting it might actually be something poisonous. Masami stares blankly at it, wondering if she can truly eat the pill. Shizuru assures her that she can trust Makoto, and Yoko also supports her. The crowd breaks into whispers about the impossibility of a rejuvenation pill existing. To give her a push, Makoto whispers in Masami's ear, asking if she doesn't want to regain her wasted youth. Thinking about how all the ungrateful leeches she spent all her youth on have been ridiculing her for so long, Masami decides to take the gamble. To everyone's shock, she picks up the pill and pops it into her mouth. Everyone waits in anticipation to see the rejuvenation effects, but after a few seconds, nothing happens. Shiro bursts into laughter, mocking Makoto for being a fraud. Suddenly, the pill takes effect, and to their shock, Masami actually returns to her youthful appearance. Someone quickly grabs a mirror to show her the results, and even Masami is amazed by her restored appearance. Just like that, Makoto's pill became a hot commodity as old ladies immediately flocked around requesting one. He prices the pill at 400,000 yen per pill and informs them that he only has 10 currently available. Hearing this, a live auction begins right there, with everyone struggling to offer the highest price. Even Shiro wants to bid at the highest price for the Juyan pill. He plans to secure an exclusive distribution rights deal no matter the cost. Enno tries to stop him, but Shiro barks at her to shut up. He believes Makoto can be brainwashed long enough for them to marry off Shizuru to the Ocho family. Shiro literally plans to sell her off under the guise of marriage to receive a substantial amount from the Ochos. At that moment, a fat dude from the Kozan group approaches Makoto with an offer of 4 million yen for exclusive distribution rights to the Juyan pill. Another company representative quickly counters with a bid of 20 million. Shiro then intervenes confidently, urging everyone to settle down. He requests a private conversation with Makoto and presents an offer of 30 million, along with a proposal to share the profits. He elaborates that he gets 70% of the profit while Makoto gets 30%, claiming it is a good deal since they will be using the Hoshisu's family influence. Hearing this, Shizuru calls his family a garbage bin with no connections to offer, infuriating Shiro. Shiro reminds her that she is related to them from her mother's side. Shizuru reminds him that he lost that right when he lost over 100 million using the company left by her grandmother as collateral. Shiro tries to deny the accusations, but she pulls up evidence threatening to read them out loud. Masami and Yoko, who have been in the dark, are also shocked to hear he ran their mother's company to the ground. Shiro, now shaking in his pants, asks Shizuru how she found the evidence. Shizuru further reveals that Shiro only came to the party to demand money from Yoko, just like he bled her grandmother dry. Clearly seeing through his schemes, she declares that she will not give him a single cent. She has also discovered that he plans to swindle Makoto since he doesn't even have the 30 million yen. Shiro, utterly defeated, falls to his knees, pleading for her help. He shamelessly asks Yoko to assist him in begging Shizuru. However, Yoko refuses, clearly expressing her disappointment in him for destroying their mother's legacy. Like a classic mama's boy, he clings to Masami's skirt, begging her to intervene since he is the last man standing in the family. Fed up with this ungrateful leech, Masami shoves him aside, refusing to help. In the end, Shiro is confronted by the very group of women he has always looked down upon. Shizuru gives him an ultimatum: either go to jail or sell his company to her for a mere 1 yen, leaving him utterly shattered. Onlookers mock him, saying he deserves this fate. Shizuru then turns to Makoto, offering to introduce him to a more competent business professional. She explains that 40 million is a fair price to settle for, and he should aim to retain 80% of the profits. She warns him to stay alert, as the sharks at this party will take advantage of him. To her surprise, Makoto decides to entrust everything to her. Later that evening, she drives him back to his apartment and comments on how nice it is. Makoto informs her that it's just a rental. He thanks her for the ride, and Shizuru reassures him, calling him her friend. Taken aback by the term, Makoto is surprised when she repeats it and extends her hand to seal their friendship. After their exchange, he quietly heads inside, still reflecting on everything. He looks up at the moon, realizing that this new life might not be so bad after all. Upon entering his house, Makoto is met with the shocking sight of his dog sprawled in a pool of its own blood. The dagger remains in place, serving as a grim warning, and the whole scene leaves Makoto extremely angry. Just a few moments ago, a shady dude had called Hashimoto to inform him that Makoto arrived home with a girl. To make Hashimoto taste despair, they plan to capture Shizuru. Hashimoto even boasts on the phone about the warning they left inside his house. Makoto rushes inside quickly to check on the dog, and thankfully, it was still breathing. Hoping the healing talisman can heal it, he removes the knife and places the talisman on the dog. Meanwhile, an intruder lurks in the shadow just right above, observing Makoto. He suddenly charges down, preparing to attack him from the back. To his shock, Makoto swiftly vanishes with his dog and reappears behind, slamming the intruder into the ground with one kick. More assassins soon appear at the scene, wondering what just happened. Makoto gently pushes the dog aside to face them alone. He looks at them with so much rage, and without hesitation, they charge towards him. One guy reminds them to keep Makoto alive according to their employer's order. As soon as they see how effortlessly Makoto deals with one guy, the others halt in their steps, horrified by what they have just witnessed. Ignoring Makoto's cocky behavior, another foolish dude immediately rushes in, only to have his arm torn apart like a sausage. Refusing to let him go, Makoto snaps his neck like tearing through a Thanksgiving turkey. By now the rest of the gangs are already terrified, so they pull out the big guns, planning to incapacitate him by aiming for his limbs. However, what these suckers fail to understand is that Makoto is already faster than bullets. Unbothered by their pew-pew, he swerves around swiftly like the Flash, dodging the bullets. Makoto vows to take them down one by one until they beg for mercy and reveal who sent them. In another location, Shizuru finds herself captured by the deranged Hashimoto, who intends to indulge in his twisted hobby with her. Despite recognizing her as the daughter of the renowned councilman, Kenji Shuga, Hashimoto is eager to toy with her. He confirms her identity once more, relishing the moment. Just as Shizuru starts to struggle, his phone rings. Hashimoto answers, asking for an update on Makoto's situation. To his surprise, Makoto's voice comes through, revealing that all of Hashimoto's henchmen have been eliminated. Seizing the opportunity, Hashimoto boasts about capturing Shizuru, which only infuriates Makoto further. Makoto warns Hashimoto to release her or face dire consequences, but the madman only mocks him in response. Hashimoto gleefully gives Makoto 40 minutes to arrive, threatening to live stream himself serving Shizuru like sushi if he doesn't. After instructing him to find their location, Hashimoto abruptly hangs up. Enraged, Makoto crushes the cheap phone in his hands. Hashimoto continues his disturbing hobby with Shizuru, planning to record a teaser video before the main event. He removes the tape from her mouth, but just as he is about to proceed, a knock sounds at the door. When he opens it, his guards inform him that a fire alarm has been triggered in the warehouse. Hashimoto quickly instructs them to disable the faulty alarm to avoid an unexpected visit from the police. Choosing to manage the situation himself, he tells the guards to watch the door while he steps out to investigate the alarm. A few moments after he leaves, someone punches the guard so hard that it breaks down the door. Shizuru looks up to see if Makoto has come to save her. Just an hour ago, Funaki arrived at Makoto's address to deliver a letter of introduction to Ryuta, but he couldn't reach Makoto by phone. He double-checked the address to ensure he was in the right place. At that moment, he overheard someone telling Hashimoto that Makoto had returned home with his girlfriend. From the conversation, he learned that 6 assassins were waiting to ambush Makoto inside the house. He also saw them force an unconscious Shizuru into a vehicle. Funaki quietly observed the scene from a corner. Once the vehicle left with Shizuru, he hopped on his bike to follow, planning to send the coordinates to Makoto later. Upon arriving at a private mansion, Funaki finally managed to reach Makoto. He informed him about Shizuru's capture and the mansion's location. Makoto was taken aback and questioned how Funaki had gathered this information. Before the call, he had been interrogating one of the assassins for answers, beating him just enough to send him to the brink of death, then using a healing talisman to revive him for more torture. With no time to lose, Makoto asked Funaki to help rescue Shizuru. After making the request, he vowed to personally drag Hashimoto to the underground. This request prompted Funaki to trigger the fire alarm earlier, distracting Hashimoto from the room. He waited for Hashimoto to leave before confronting the guards who were complaining about their shitty boss. Funaki waltzed towards them like Aquaman, ignoring all their questions. It was then that he had attacked them, using the force from the attack to break down the door. Shizuru, who seemed to be out of it, had called Makoto's name, thinking he had come to save her. However, it was only Funaki carrying out Makoto's request to rescue her. Funaki hoists her up like a dead weight and bolts from the scene before Hashimoto can return. He reaches a door leading to the back garden where the car is parked and pushes forward, hoping to escape before anyone catches up. Just as he reaches for the handle, a bullet tears through his thigh. The impact sends him crashing to the ground with Shizuru in his arms. Even in pain, Funaki cushions her head with his hand before she hits the floor. Moments later, Hashimoto strides in, bragging loudly about his flawless shot. His henchmen also agree, clapping on cue like obedient puppets. Funaki's heart races as he wonders how they returned so quickly. Masking his panic, he greets Hashimoto as if they were old friends. Hashimoto, clearly enjoying the situation, bursts into laughter as he looks forward to dealing with the traitor. Refusing to surrender without a fight, Funaki steadies himself and boldly challenges him. Meanwhile, outside the mansion, Makoto arrives to settle accounts with the resident madman. The guards scramble toward the entrance, confused about who would dare approach the estate so boldly. Makoto, fueled by pure rage, doesn't bother acknowledging their existence. He casually punches his way through the entrance like a discount one-punch man, leaving the guards frozen in disbelief. They rush him all at once, clearly convinced numbers will somehow fix everything. Unfortunately for them, Makoto tears through the group with ease, swatting them aside like misplaced trash headed for the garbage bin. Within a few seconds, the courtyard falls silent. Standing among the defeated guards, Makoto loudly announces his arrival, embracing his role as the overpowered main character. Inside the mansion, Funaki is not having such a breezy time. Even though he has taken down quite a few henchmen, he seems to have reached his limit. Right about now, he silently wishes he had turned down Makoto's request to rescue a damsel in distress. Hashimoto, still feeling like the absolute king of the universe, boasts that he will turn Funaki into sushi and send him back to Makoto. Suddenly, his moment is ruined by the hefty front door being punched in. Makoto walks in like the Grim Reaper, announcing he has come to collect Hashimoto for Hades. Funaki is on cloud 9 now that his backup has arrived. Makoto hands him a healing talisman to help him regain his strength. Hashimoto orders his men to immediately take out the intruder, while Makoto stays behind to face them. Funaki picks up Shizuru and bolts out to complete his mission. Using the Cloud Shadow step, Makoto easily breezes through the raining bullets, swiftly taking down the henchmen one after the other. Meanwhile, Hashimoto watches in horror, wondering when the comical Flash made an entrance. Seeing that he may have underestimated his opponent, he tiptoes away from the scene like a useless wuss. Finally escaping from the chaos, Hashimoto scurries off like a scared little mouse, wondering why everyone referred to someone as powerful as Makoto as weak trash when he is clearly a dragon. He soon reaches a door and tries to input the password, but his nerves get the better of him. Suddenly, the bodies of a few henchmen fly into the room, signaling Makoto's presence. For the first time since he became an annoying terror, Hashimoto looks visibly terrified. He stammers, pleading with Makoto to calm down. He tries to intimidate him by mentioning his backing, but it doesn't seem to have any effect. Hashimoto, unlike his loyal henchmen, is a foolish coward. Just the sight of Makoto's overwhelming presence makes him reveal that Lord Aima is his employer. Makoto doesn't know who this so-called Lord Aima is, so he shoots Hashimoto a fierce look, urging him to keep talking. Hashimoto then reveals that Lord Aima is the heir of the Aima family. He says that basically this Aima dude is targeting Makoto because of a rumor that Makoto has cooked rice with Setsu. He further explains that Lord Aima plans to arrange a political marriage with the young lady of the Amatani family. Therefore, they want to take him out completely to prevent any future complications. Scanning through his memory, Makoto cannot find any memories of the original owner meeting privately with his fiancée. He guesses that someone else is trying to frame him. After recounting the whole thing, Hashimoto warns Makoto to let him go or suffer the consequences of going against such a powerful man as Lord Aima. Hearing this, Makoto reasons that this Lord Aima must be a fellow cultivator. Meanwhile, Hashimoto rambles like a broken record, promising to help if Makoto lets him go. Unfortunately, Makoto never goes back on his word, so he immediately punches the clown in the face so hard that the force breaks down the locked door. Inside the room, he finds a couple of girls locked up by the madman. Makoto immediately breaks their chains and drops his knife on the floor. Before leaving, he instructs the girls to do whatever they want to Hashimoto. As the girls surround him, Hashimoto offers to give them money if they let him go, but these girls have no use for money. They have already been to hell and back thanks to his wicked acts. With joyful tears mixed with pain, they relish sending him to the very hell he created. In the meantime, Makoto heads out to join Funaki. He applies a healing talisman on Shizuru, and then tells Funaki to leave before the police arrive. He had called the police earlier before coming to the mansion. He plans to head back home after safely handing Shizuru over to the police. Funaki asks him about his next plans, and Makoto reveals he will look into Aima and everyone else targeting him. He stops mid-sentence, realizing he might be outnumbered if he digs further into this whole conspiracy. After the whole Hashimoto melodrama, Makoto is back to his usual uneventful days. However, he is still bothered about the main mastermind. While throwing a few push-ups, he resolves to find the culprit and crush him as soon as possible. Soon, a knock on the door disrupts his training, and Makoto opens the door to find a messenger from Shizuru. He hands Makoto an invitation, along with a message that she will depart as soon as he is ready. Makoto stares at the invitation card curiously, wondering what her message means. After the messenger leaves, he calls Shizuru to ask why she also sent him a suit. She informs him that the invitation is from the Hoshisu family. Makoto is confused at this point, questioning why he needs to attend their party. Shizuru informs him that the Hoshisu family controls the biggest pharmaceutical group in the city. This means they need to get close to the family to market the Wonder Beauty pills. She also reveals that his ex-fiancée Setsu will be attending the party. This new piece of information greatly piques Makoto's interest. On the day of the party, Makoto arrives looking quite dashing. Shizuru quietly shows him Pierce, the general manager of Ace Group, and Taro, the board chairman of Kengo Group. She explains that they are big shots in the city's business landscape. Not knowing jack shit about the business world, Makoto wonders if they are also trying to get close to the Hoshisu family. Shizuru finds his comparison amusing, making her wonder why someone from a powerful family doesn't even know the basic power players in the city. She points out that most people here are desperate to build connections with even a relative of the Amatani family. According to Shizuru, they are especially looking forward to the arrival of the young lady of the Amatani family. Just then, the head of the Hoshisu family, Nana, arrives with the long-awaited Setsu trailing beside her. Makoto can sense spiritual energy radiating around this notorious ex-fiancée. He quietly studies her, wondering if she is a fellow cultivator. A lot of thoughts rush into his mind, making him wonder if this world has any special cultivation method he has yet to uncover. He notes that Setsu's spiritual energy is technically on display, and she doesn't even try to hide it. Since she might know Aima, he plans to ask her about it later. He then quietly stands beside Shizuru while she cheerfully greets Nana, the head of the Hoshisu family. Nana inquires about her mom's health, expressing her joy at Yoko's recent recovery. Shizuru thanks her, explaining that her mother is gradually returning to her old self. She then presents Nana with a Juyan pill as a gift from Yoko. Shizuru explains to her that they're the company's latest rejuvenation product. Nana, who seems to have heard about the Wonder Pill, excitedly blurts out the name. The nearby guests break into surprised whispers, discussing the outrageous price of the pill. Setsu immediately casts curious glances at the box. Nana examines the pill, expressing her appreciation for such a high-level spirit pill. She praises the person who refined the pills. Studying it further, she notes that it doesn't have any seals, making her ask Shizuru about its creator's identity. Shizuru immediately introduced Makoto as the pill refiner and her business partner. Both Nana and Setsu are surprised when Makoto introduces himself. Nana gleefully reveals that she used to carry him when he was a baby. She praises him for his skills and curses at the Yamori clan for being dumb enough to dump such a talented young man. Setsu immediately cautions her aunt to stop her from talking. She firmly explains that such a skill is useless to a noble family, adding that only one's cultivation level is useful. Setsu goes further, saying Makoto would have been ushered into the Amatani family if he had any useful cultivation. Hearing all these, Makoto finally realizes that the noble families of this world have already discovered cultivation. Nonetheless, it is still trash compared to the level practiced in the Liyue continent. After she finishes rambling, Makoto, subtly mocking him for being useless, Nana is still not convinced by Setsu's argument. She believes that Makoto has done something memorable by refining the Juyan pills. She then asks him about the master who taught him pill refinement. Makoto thinks about it for a second, and his mind wanders to someone from his past life. With no other options, he responds to her, saying he has no master. Makoto explains that he only took up pill refinement as a hobby. Right when he is about to ask them something important, some loudmouth struts in like a peacock on display, wishing Nana a happy birthday. The guests cast curious glances, wondering who he is. Someone chirps in that the loud guy is actually Joe Aima, the heir of the Aima family. A sense of dread fills Makoto as he comes face to face with his notorious pursuer. Sounding like some self-righteous arsehat, Lord Aima exchanges pleasantries with Nana. Like a classic lecher, his eyes soon land on Shizuru, and Nana introduces her to him. From his side eye, Makoto watches Lord Aima's greedy eyes, basically ogling Shizuru. Lord Aima then introduces himself to Shizuru, and like a perfect gentleman, he stretches his hand to shake hers. Already fed up with the whole scene, Makoto quickly grabs his hand, saying he has heard a lot about the famous heir of the powerful family. Lord Aima, pretending not to know Makoto, asks who he is. Although surprised by his pretense, Makoto wonders how long Lord Aima can keep pretending not to know him. According to his investigation, Aima is a cultivator, and Makoto wants to test that theory by using his spiritual energy to search for any trace of cultivation on him. Basically, cultivators can suppress this energy to hide their strength. The only exception is when they are unable to store spiritual energy, so the waves are never released. By releasing his own spiritual energy, Makoto plans to channel it into Aima's meridians to confirm if he is truly a cultivator. A few moments after searching, the result comes up empty, meaning Aima has no trace of spiritual energy in his meridians. This discovery surprises Makoto, making him wonder if Aima is not actually a cultivator. He soon forgets himself and grips Aima's hand too tightly, prompting him to quickly withdraw his hand in pain. Aima then hastily returns Makoto's greeting before ignoring him like sour milk to face Setsu. Makoto is still confused about why he couldn't sense any energy fluctuations on this dude. He didn't even feel any hint of killing intent in his brief exchange with Aima. Afterwards, everyone settles down to enjoy dinner. A butler soon announces that everyone should gather in the hall after their meal for a dance party. A few moments later, the dance party begins, but Makoto can't concentrate on anything. He has been thinking about Hashimoto and whether he lied about Aima being a cultivator. Meanwhile, Shizuru scans the hall for Makoto while avoiding countless invitations to dance. Someone even whispers to the last man she rejects that there is no way the daughter of the prestigious Suga family would dance with a nobody. He adds that Shizuru is high maintenance and that even powerful families struggle to gain her attention. While the dude is still rambling on about it, his friend points in the direction of Shizuru, basically begging to give Makoto her attention. The whole scenario of Shizuru inviting him to dance with her leaves everyone in shock, including Setsu. Somewhere outside, Aima heads to his car, and before entering, he warns the guards that no one is allowed to come near his vehicle. Inside the car, the guards can hear strange noises coming from inside. The guards start whispering among each other, wondering why he is always alone in the car with one of his bodyguards. Another dude chirps that all the chosen personal bodyguards of Aima eventually start acting strange and even end up not recognizing their own family. From their conversation, it is revealed that Lord Aima changes bodies every few days like tissue paper. Also, each swapped-out bodyguard usually acts like a totally different person. According to the rumors, one even disappeared completely. Meanwhile, inside the vehicle, the bodyguard slaps Aima, cursing at him for trying to hold another woman's hand in front of Setsu. Aima, with a panicked expression, frantically apologizes for messing things up. Suddenly, spiritual energy starts radiating from a ring on the bodyguard's finger. His face warps unnaturally, transforming into the real Lord Aima. He reveals that he only kept the fake double because of his slight usefulness. He then threatens to end the dude if he makes another mistake like today. A few moments later, Lord Aima steps out of the vehicle and invites two guards to follow him into the banquet hall. One of the guards stares suspiciously at the car, wondering what on earth happened to the other person inside. He notes that just like the rumors, a bodyguard always goes missing. Meanwhile, inside the car, the fake Aima has been bound and gagged. He struggles to free himself, but the ropes are tied way too securely. Soon, the fake dude bursts into tears, seeing that he can't escape his fate. Afterwards, the real Aima steps into the ballroom, pretending he didn't just pull off some serious alien shit in the car a few minutes ago. He cheerfully calls out to Setsu, but she is too engrossed with jealousy from watching her ex and his new beau dancing together. In fact, the whole hall seems to be focusing on Makoto and Shizuru. Aima follows her gaze to see what is holding her attention. Whispers erupt in the hall as people speculate about Makoto's identity. They wonder how anyone was able to conquer the notorious Ice Queen Shizuru. Shizuru and Makoto seem to be drifting away in their own worlds. The music hits a crescendo, completely sending the duo to Cloud 9. Mesmerized by the romantic moment, Shizuru commends Makoto for being such an amazing dancer, leaving him utterly speechless. She praises him further for matching the energy of the party atmosphere. Shizuru explains that it is the only way they can get the Hoshisu family's attention for their plans concerning the rejuvenation pills. Makoto is happy to turn heads with his dance skills since the original owner already learned ballroom dancing before he was kicked out. Combining that skill with his sense of balance from cultivation, Makoto is an absolute beast on the dance floor. Nana, impressed by what she just watched, asks Setsu if she knew that Makoto could dance. Always the sore loser, Setsu simply mocks him for being a useless commoner despite his dancing skills. Nana teases her, pointing out that she caught her watching them so intently during the performance. Aima also joins the conversation, prompting Nana to ask if he truly doesn't know Makoto. Aima assures her that they are only meeting for the first time today. However, Nana finds this claim rather suspicious. She wonders how the heir of a powerful family has not learned about this widespread rumor. Aima, trying to throw her off, cooks up some flimsy excuse, which Nana completely ignores. She muses over Makoto's talent for pill refinement. From her tone, he senses that she is trying to raise Makoto to the next level. Aima is threatened by this, and he stares at her with a sinister expression. Aima curses Nana under his breath. He only lets her run wild because of Setsu. He then sets his sights on Makoto, also cursing him quietly. In the meantime, the two gossipy dudes from earlier have discovered Makoto's identity. Ignoring the fact that Setsu can literally hear them, they discuss the love triangle between her, Aima, and Makoto. The silverhead mocks Makoto for throwing away the easiest way to level up. The blonde dude chimes in that the only path to redemption for the Yamori trash is for him to simp over Setsu. They also speculate that Makoto must be at this party to get closer to her. Setsu is fed up with all the trash talking and excuses herself from the table. Nana insists she stay longer, but Setsu claims she needs to rest. Instead of leaving quietly, she suddenly stops to confront Makoto. Makoto, clearly minding his own business, is confused by the whole scene. She barks at him like an angry Karen, warning him to discard his ugly thoughts about using her influence to restore the Yamori family. Makoto is even more confused and just stares at her as if she were an escaped loony. She turns to leave, telling him to use the money from pill refinement to focus on his life instead of trying to climb high places with a woman's influence. Makoto calmly questions her, asking which of them truly needs that advice. Setsu is even more surprised when he comments on her unstable spiritual energy. He had noticed earlier how it was leaking out due to poor control. According to Makoto, she likely forced herself to absorb spiritual energy to accelerate her cultivation. He warns her that such reckless methods only harm the body in the long run. Studying her closely, Makoto states bluntly that her body has already reached its limit. Still looking down on him, Setsu wonders how a nobody like him can correctly analyze her situation. Makoto then reveals that he can help her fix the problem, but Setsu refuses to believe him. However, he is unbothered, since she stands to lose if she chooses not to believe him. Setsu cowers in fear when he warns her that she might be running out of time. He draws closer, offering to strike a deal with her if she can hand something to Aima for him. Meanwhile, Aima, seething with rage, watches them from a distance. After the party, Shizuru and Makoto run into Nana, who shows interest in the Juyan pill, and invites them for a private chat. They walk through the garden together, and Makoto presses her for her real motives. Nana chuckles and asks him to call her auntie. Makoto refuses since he is no longer a member of the Yamori family. Hearing this, she remarks that he and Setsu are similar. Nana recounts that Setsu also lost her parents and became a puppet of the Amatani family. Her uncle is the puppet master, deciding even her marriage partner. Luckily, she was recognized by a prestigious martial arts family. With their backing, Setsu received the opportunity to become a legendary cultivator. Nana further adds that unless Setsu can transcend the realm of a commoner, she will remain a puppet for her family. This whole gibberish about cultivators is simply confusing for Shizuru. Makoto, on the other hand, understands that one can only transcend the realm of a commoner by entering the third stage of cultivation. In the cultivator's world, the gap between the second and third stages is extremely huge. This means it is very difficult to move to the third stage. Makoto reasons that this must be why Setsu decided to take such drastic measures to quickly advance her cultivation. He wonders why Nana is even telling him all these things in the first place. Nana sadly reveals that she has been trying to cure Setsu's condition, but none of her remedies seem to work. She further explains that she found renewed hope when she discovered Makoto's Juyan pills. Shizuru cannot believe that the president of the Traditional Medicine Association trusts Makoto more than actual doctors. Makoto quietly reflects on Nana's words and the legendary cultivation brouhaha. He also notes that compared to the Liyue continent, the cultivation techniques here are crude. Snapping him back to reality, Nana declares that she is also interested in the Juyan pill distribution. Shizuru is excited because with the Hoshisu family's backing, their profits will skyrocket. Nana jokes with her, stating that she only likes money. After joking around for a bit, she pleads with them to help Setsu. She informs Makoto that Setsu had tried to rebel after their engagement was annulled. Makoto is stunned to hear this news. Just then, Aima catches up to pay his respects to Nana before leaving. He extends his hand to shake Makoto, hoping they can meet again sometime. Makoto grabs his hand to shake him back. He feels spiritual energy radiating through Aima the moment their hands touch. Makoto finds this strange because he hadn't sensed anything during their first encounter. After the exchange, Aima heads to his car, and a guard informs him that Setsu dropped a gift for him. Aima, happy to hear this, quickly opens the box to find an origami butterfly, leaving him confused. Unable to comprehend its meaning, he tosses it over to fake Aima, warning him not to open it without his permission. Reflecting on his meeting with Makoto, Aima still considers him the same weak trash. He then twists the spirit liquid ring again, declaring war on Nana and Makoto. The energy from the ring glows, turning him into a splitting image of Makoto. He grins wickedly, declaring to use Setsu to destroy Makoto and Nana. The fake Aima trembles like a wuss, and none of them even notice the origami glowing. At the top of a tall building, Makoto brandishes a glowing replica of the origami butterfly in his hand. He smiles with satisfaction, promising to meet Aima again soon. It is revealed that the butterfly origami is actually a tracking talisman, and right now, Makoto is using it to track Aima's location. The talisman stops outside a building, signifying that it has found the target. Confirming that the building actually belongs to the Aima family, he immediately jumps off to carry out his plans. Elsewhere in the herbal garden, Nana quietly observes several spiritual plants. She focuses on 2 that are nearly ready for harvest. She plans to exchange them at the cultivators tournament in 3 months. Suddenly, she senses a strange presence nearby. A monk appears behind her and reveals that Nana was once the genius of the 100 Herb sect. Unfortunately, she suffered fatal injuries in the past that destroyed her cultivation. He praises her for still being able to sense spiritual energy. From his words, Nana realizes he is a cultivator. She has also sensed more than one presence in the room, meaning she may not be able to escape if she faces more than one opponent. Sensing her intent, another monk asks why she is planning to flee. He assures her that even if she resists, they will not allow her to leave unscathed. While cautiously speaking with them to learn their purpose, Nana slowly moves toward a large tree in front of her. One monk asks her to follow them without resisting. The other adds that it would be easier to simply break her limbs. As Nana reaches the tree, she activates a purple herb growing at its roots, called the Overlord flower. Soon, a poisonous gas spreads from the plant, filling the area. The monks struggle to breathe, but Nana has already placed a green heart grass in her mouth to neutralize the poison. The poison is powerful enough to knock out an elephant, so she plans to escape while the 2 baldies are busy. Just as she is about to leave, a sinister figure enters the room. Nana senses shadow arts and immediately knows the person belongs to the hidden shadow sect. The shadow reaches out and restrains her. As the figure steps closer, he confirms it is the same sect that destroyed the 100 Herb sect. Nana struggles and demands to know who he is. She says this day was not supposed to come yet, and there is no reason for the shadow sect to reveal themselves now. Then she turns and freezes because standing before her is Makoto. However, it is only Aima disguised as Makoto. Back at the Aima family building, Makoto hides in the shadows as the guards head out for a shift change. They argue about what to eat and joke about whether Aima is enjoying some premium meal inside. Once they leave, Makoto appears using the Cloud Shadow step. He activates the tracking talisman to confirm he has reached Aima's room. Inside, the fake Aima slurps cold ramen while watching an old recording of himself. He wonders how his life ended up this miserable, being treated like a worthless servant just because he looks like Aima has pushed him to the edge. Thinking about the constant insults from the real Aima only makes it worse. Unable to resist, he opens the gift box and the talisman suddenly activates, nearly giving him a heart attack. He senses someone behind him and spins around, only to find Makoto standing there, making him fall in a panic. Makoto recognizes him as the first version he met at the party and asks if he remembers. The fake nods, terrified, and tries to throw around the Aima name. Makoto shuts that down quickly and demands to know where the real Aima is. Later that day, just along Makoto's usual route, a group of Aima's henchmen waits patiently for their big moment. On the phone, they confidently assure Aima that they will crush Makoto's limbs and deliver him like a takeout. Right on cue, one of them spots Makoto walking toward them. Makoto, meanwhile, is lost in thought, oblivious of their presence. He is still reflecting on his discovery that a spiritual vessel exists in this world. This leaves him wondering if a 4th-level cultivator is backing the nobles of this world. Basically, a spiritual vessel is a special tool infused with spiritual energy during its creation, granting it unique abilities. The stronger the spiritual energy used during forging, the higher the quality of the vessel. However, such tools can only be crafted by 4th-stage cultivators. Makoto believes that forging spiritual tools in this world is impossible due to its weak spiritual energy. However, he now has reasons to believe that the Aima family might actually have their very own personal spiritual spring. Makoto decides to resolve his beef with Aima before heading to Ryuta to find a spiritual spring. Just then, he finally looks up to notice the mob waiting for him. They casually inform him that someone paid big bucks to capture him, but Makoto is unbothered. He gives them a fierce look, instantly making the leader uneasy. Shaking off his fear, the boss orders his men to attack. They rush Makoto like a flock of hungry chickens charging at feed. The boss watches confidently, convinced he brought seasoned fighters. Seconds later, his confidence evaporates. Makoto moves effortlessly, rearranging faces, dishing rhinoplasties, and giving out free bone adjustments. In moments, the entire group is down. The boss can only stare in horror as Makoto slowly turns toward him, demanding to know who hired them. The next day, Setsu and her team work non-stop at Nana's house, trying to piece together what happened. One of the men shows her surveillance footage of 2 monks suddenly appearing. Although the video cuts off abruptly, the guard confidently concludes that Nana must have been kidnapped. He then shows another clip featuring a 3rd attacker, and Setsu freezes when she sees Makoto's face. Furious, Setsu immediately heads to Makoto's address. Outside the apartment, a bandaged man stops her and politely asks if she has an appointment. She ignores him, demanding to see Makoto. The injured man quietly leads her inside. As Setsu follows, she notices several rough-looking men tending to the garden. On the rooftop, Makoto is relaxing, while the mob boss from the previous day obediently serves him. In fact, all the bandaged men appear to be Aima's henchmen, who failed to ambush him earlier. Moments later, Setsu storms in, angrily demanding that Makoto release Nana. Makoto stares at her in confusion, unaware of what she is talking about. She accuses him again of kidnapping her aunt. When he still looks lost, Setsu pulls out a tablet and shows him the surveillance footage. Makoto immediately recognizes that the person in the video is using a spiritual vessel to impersonate him. He quickly realizes that Aima staged this to drive a wedge between him and Setsu. As Setsu begins releasing spiritual energy, preparing to fight, Makoto calmly tells her that he was never at Nana's house at 1 in the morning. To prove it, he tells her to question Aima's henchmen, and the revelation makes Setsu relax. The mob boss then shows her his chat history with Aima, explaining how they were hired to capture Makoto. Finally convinced, Setsu asks how they plan to explain the footage. Makoto responds by showing her a video he recorded earlier of the fake Aima. He did it to save evidence of Aima's schemes. Setsu watches the video as Yasuhiro confesses to playing Lord Aima's body double. He explains that he is usually just a guard, but he attended the party earlier as a stand-in. Yasuhiro reveals that Lord Aima uses a ring to impersonate anyone, a revelation that completely shocks Setsu. Makoto then explains to her the whole concept of spiritual vessels. He adds that Aima plans to have her eliminate him on the suspicion of Nana's kidnapping. Hearing this, Setsu angrily storms out to confront him, but Makoto stops her from blowing things up. He warns that Nana might be in danger if they make any rash moves. Setsu asks how he expects her to tackle the issue since she doesn't just plan to leave things as they are. Makoto lets her know that they can turn the tables on him using his own schemes.